I returned as an FFF class witch doctor. Genre: action, drama, fantasy, shounen, 67 chapters, ongoing. A guy named Ma Jin-sun who was really good at playing a popular game called Darcia Chronicle. He was one of the best players, known for his skills and achievements, but something terrible happened to him. His own leader, whom he trusted, betrayed him and brutally killed him. After this tragic incident, Jin-sun expected to wake up in his own room like it was all just a bad dream. But instead, he found himself transported back in time, a whole 10 years in the past. It was a shocking and confusing turn of events for him. But Jin-sun wasn't going to let this setback stop him. He was determined to seek revenge on his treacherous leader. So without hesitation, he jumped right back into the game, ready to take on the challenges that awaited him. However, this time, things were different. Jin-sun's character in the game had completely changed. He was now a voodooist, a class that specialized in dark magic and curses. To make things even more intense, Jin-sun discovered that he would receive special bonuses for defeating other players in the game. It seemed like an advantage, but there was a catch. If he died within the game, he would also die in real life. The stakes were higher than ever before. A world-class walkthrough, genre, action, fantasy, shounen. 68 chapters, ongoing. There was a guy named Hin Kyun-sam who didn't have any parents. He was an orphan, but he didn't let that stop him. He was determined to make something of himself, so he started preparing for a civil service exam. To support himself, he worked part-time at a convenience store. In his free time, Kyun-sam loved playing a game called God-Forsaken World. He would get lost in the virtual world and immerse himself in the adventures it offered. One day, while playing a scenario called Gulozan Lod Baltic, something strange happened. Without even realizing it, Kyun-sam was suddenly transmigrated into the body of the fallen third prince of the empire, also known as the Pig Prince. But that's not all. When he found himself in this new world, he discovered that the fallen third prince had been captured and was about to be executed. It was a dire situation, and he had to figure out a way to save himself and the prince. Luckily, his extensive knowledge of the game came to his aid. He knew the ins and outs of God-Forsaken World and used his game skills to navigate through various crises and challenges. He used his strategies, cunning, and quick thinking to overcome obstacles and protect himself and the prince from danger. Player who returned 10,000 years later. Genre: action, drama, fantasy, seinen, 71 chapters, ongoing. A demon king named Okangwu who had grown tired of ruling over hell, he longed to return to Earth, where he once belonged. So, he made a decision to leave his throne behind and venture back to the human world. But when Kangwu arrived on Earth, he was in for a big surprise. His powers, which were once mighty and fearsome, were now sealed. He couldn't use them anymore, and that wasn't the only shock. The Earth he remembered had transformed into something completely different. It had become an MMORPG, a massive multiplayer online role-playing game, where everyone could participate. All over the world, dimensional gates had appeared. People from all walks of life entered these gates to hunt monsters and make a living. It was a free-for-all, where survival depended on strength and skill. Kangwu realized that if he wanted to survive in this dangerous game, he would have to level up quickly. He needed to get stronger and learn the ropes of this new reality. But for Kangwu, this new Earth was a nightmare. It was even worse than ruling over hell itself. He faced countless challenges and dangers as he tried to adapt to this unfamiliar world. Every step he took was a struggle, and every monster he encountered tested his abilities. Arc the Legend, genre: action, adventure, fantasy. 17 chapters, ongoing. Kim Hyunwoo, who was known as Ark in the game called New World. He was once at the very top of the game, but as time went on, he found himself feeling bored and uninspired. He took on the role of an advisor and director, which didn't bring him the same excitement as being a top player. One day, he received some surprising news from the NIS National Intelligence Service. It turned out that Lucifer, an artificial intelligence who was his rival in the game New World, had somehow escaped into the real world. This was a cause for concern, especially considering Lucifer's mischievous nature. To make matters more complicated, Lucifer had taken control of nuclear generators illegally. In an unexpected twist, Lucifer invited him, who was known as Ark in the game, to participate in a new space game called Galaxian. It seemed that he had no choice but to accept the invitation and enter the game in order to confront Lucifer. However, things didn't go as planned for Ark. In the process, he lost all his valuable belongings and found himself stuck in the tutorial phase of the game. Being a newbie in the vastness of space turned out to be much more challenging than he had anticipated. Auto hunting with clones. Genre: action, adventure, comedy, fantasy, supernatural. 85 chapters, ongoing. Sang-yu, who was just an average sophomore in college, he had a big dream, though. He always wished he could have multiple versions of himself to handle different aspects of his life. One version could focus on studying, while another could have all the fun and play. One fateful day, Sang-yu woke up with a surprising skill called cloning. It seemed like his dream had finally come true. He could create multiple copies of himself and divide his time and tasks among them. He was thrilled and couldn't wait to see how this new ability would shape his life. But as he started experimenting with his cloning skill, he soon realized that things weren't as straightforward as he had imagined. Having multiple versions of himself brought about unexpected challenges and complications. It wasn't as easy as he had hoped. Sang-yu found himself struggling to manage all the different versions of himself. Each clone had its own thoughts, desires, and priorities. It became chaotic and confusing, and he began to question whether cloning was really steering his life in the direction he had hoped for. Debut or Die. Genre: drama, fantasy, shoujo. 62 chapters, ongoing. Ru Jin-woo, who had big dreams of becoming a civil servant. One night, after a night of drinking, something strange happened. Jin-woo passed out, and when he woke up, he found himself 3 years in the past, but in the body of a young man named Park Moon-dae. Confused and disoriented, Moon-dae quickly realized that he had been given a mission. He had to debut as an idol within 1 year, or else face a terrible fate. It was a daunting challenge, but he had no choice but to take it on. Luckily, he managed to secure a spot on a famous survival program called Idol Incorporated. This was his chance to make his dreams come true. However, there was a problem. His skills as an idol were low, and the competition on the show was incredibly tough. Moon-dae faced an uphill battle. He had to work hard to improve his singing, dancing, and overall performance abilities. Every day was a struggle as he trained relentlessly and pushed himself to the limit. He faced constant pressure and challenges, but he never gave up.